So, given that the flower does not exist outside of our consciousness, and you may have answered this, does the flower exist upon agreement only within a shared consciousness?
Does the flower exist?
Does the flower exist upon agreement only within shared consciousness?
When you say upon agreement only, what do you mean?
We all see that flower
Yes.
next to you. If we move beyond an intellectual, if we grasp even intellectually that the flower does not have inherent existence outside of our consciousness, and
Outside
we all,
of consciousness,
outside of
not
out of-
our
yeah,
consciousness.
right,
Consciousness.
yes, outside of consciousness. I heard the expression once, there's only one being here.
Okay. I think I've got your question. Let me respond and
Yes.
tell me if I'm responding to your question. Let me give you a new metaphor that I borrow from a friend of mine, Bernardo Kastrup, who has this very nice metaphor. Think of consciousness as a river flowing or vibrating. And think of each of our minds as a whirlpool within the river, like a localization of the flow of water or the vibration of consciousness. So all the information that gets trapped in each of our whirlpools is, before it appears in the whirlpool, flowing in the river. So several whirlpools are informed by the same vibration in the river. Yes? So in this case, there are 75 whirlpools, all clustered quite close together in this little area of the river. And therefore, each whirlpool is informed by the same information flowing in that part of the river. So the flower, the vibration called a flower, because don't forget, there is no, in our experience, there is no material object. There is just seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, and smelling. So the flower, the object flower, could be a vibration or a wave in the river that is informing numerous whirlpools. In other words, the flower could exist outside our individual minds, but still inside consciousness. In other words, the vibration or the wave can exist outside the whirlpool, but still inside the river. And as the river flows, the vibrations or the waves in the river inform the whirlpools with the same, inject the whirlpools with the same information. Now, because each whirlpool has a slightly different shape and size, even though each whirlpool is injected or informed by the same wave, by the time that wave ends up in each whirlpool, it will be slightly distorted by the shape of that whirlpool, and therefore will appear slightly different in each whirlpool. So we all see the same world, but slightly differently, depending upon how our minds are configured, how our whirlpools are configured.
Cool.
So going back now to Monique's question about death, the body is an image in the mind. It's not a physical object. It is an image that appears in consciousness. It is the particular shape of a whirlpool, which is an image in consciousness. So when the body dies, the finite mind simply ceases taking a particular shape. In other words, the whirlpool begins to break down and go back into the river. But the energies left behind by the disintegrating whirlpool flows outwards into the river, just like the waves of the river flow inwards into the whirlpool, so that as the whirlpool disperses, it can release information back into the broader medium of the river, into the broader medium of consciousness. And that information can later on gather into a new whirlpool. So the energies released by one dissolving whirlpool can 2 minutes later take the shape of a new whirlpool that is informed by the residues of the old dissolving whirlpool. And there will be some consistency between the old whirlpool that has dissolved and the new whirlpool that has just formed. That's called reincarnation.